Step 1 to playing Blossoms on Preservation is getting a tracker for your 4-set procs. Cycle of Life is going to be the cornerstone of the playstyle, and you'll be heavily rewarded by playing around burst healing windows with Rewind and Dreamflight. Before you pull a boss, you should have prepared by knowing which mechanics cause spike damage events, so that you can look out for them during progression. Your goal should be to proc that set bonus and dump 4 to 5 Blossoms in a row during those damage spikes. Outside of those ramp windows, you're looking to be very efficient with your filler. Basically, you're going to aim to generate as many Essence Bursts as possible. Generating Essence Bursts relies on a few strategies. Number 1 is going to be alternating Emerald Blossom and Living Flame, which is going to take advantage of our Ancient Flame talent. Number 2 is using Temporal Anomaly and healing with a Living Flame to proc an Essence Burst. And number 3 is using Fire Breath combined with the Leaping Flames talent to proc an Essence Burst. This filler time is really important, and you're going to always need to be casting, even if it's just Living Flames on the boss. Basically, the more Essence Burst procs you can get during the filler time and spend on Emerald Blossom, the better. Just make sure that when you know your next ramp timing is soon, that you should start conserving Essence and Essence Burst for that burst window. Now, on Sarkareth specifically, there are going to be 3 big burst windows in Phase 1. The first being right at the beginning, the second at around 45 seconds, and the last at 1 minute and 35. I've planned my 2 ramp timings at 45 seconds and 1:35. To start the fight, we're just going to be taking a gate, and then immediately take the first spike damage of the fight from a Glittering Surge cast. Here, I'm just doing my filler rotation while dumping as many Emerald Blossoms as possible to efficiently both heal the group and damage the boss. It's important to get those Empower spells on cooldown as soon as possible here to prepare for my first ramp timing at 45 seconds. This is why it's important to use a tracker for your 4-set. As you can see, I have to proc the set bonus with Spirit Bloom and start dumping my Blossoms and the Dream Breath before the breath comes out. Finally, I'm going to Dreamflight the moment the breath hits the group to cap off this ramp, filling up those cycles of life as they pop on the raid. And then immediately after the ramp, I'm back to my filler rotation. I'm spot healing with Living Flame or just hitting the boss with it, and I'm making sure not to proc my 4-set until the next big burst event at 1:30. Now here, after getting these 2 4-set stacks, I know that I can use 1 more Empower spell before I have to hold for the next ramp. So I choose not to use my Fire Breath, and I use Dream Breath only because the Hot is going to do a decent amount of healing here. Okay, and finally, it's time for our last ramp. Here, I'm going to do my filler rotation while watching the timer for my rewind. The goal is to be able to proc that 4-set bonus 7 to 9 seconds before the rewind, which I do by using Tip the Scales into Spirit Bloom. And then your goal should be at least to drop 5 Blossoms before this rewind, basically guaranteeing at least 2 Cycle of Life procs for that big cooldown. And you can see on the healing meter how effective that ramp is, totaling about 12 million healing during that period. And that ends up being about 38% of my total healing in Phase 1. Basically, what you should have learned from this video is that you need to be tracking your 4-set bonus and proccing it before burst healing windows. You should be casting at least 4 to 5 Emerald Blossoms in those burst windows. You should try to cap off those burst windows with abilities like Dreamflight or Rewind or Emerald Communion. You need to always be casting during your filler time, squeezing out as many Essence Burst procs as possible. You need to be prepared before pulling a boss to know when big burst healing needs to happen and which abilities do damage to your raid. And you should finally have a plan for your Empower spells so that you're not proccing your 4-set at bad times. There's a lot more that I can share about playing the Emerald Blossom build properly, but I'm not sure right now what information people are most interested in. If you could, leave a comment with any questions you may have, and I would have a better idea what to share next.